Welcome to this edition of Tuesday Talks with Twyla. It is Christmas Eve Eve. So it's Tuesday, and Christmas Eve is tomorrow, and Christmas Day is on Thursday. It is the week of Christmas. And today I want to bring you a topic that we often don't like to talk about, we don't like to think about, but we often experience and sometimes intensely or intensifies around the holidays, and that's grief. And this is something that can affect us if we have a recent loss. It can be something that affects us years later, and it can be something that affects us even if it's not like a complete loss of a loved one. It can be an illness, it can be a divorce, it can be a change in relationship. And so there's a lot of things that can cause the feeling of grief. And I feel like one of the biggest things that we tend to do around the holidays when this emotion intensifies, and maybe sometimes out of the blue, especially if it's been years or it just feels like maybe it's different this year. And we're so busy. And so it's one of those things that I feel like we sweep under the rug, that we don't address, that we try to avoid. And it's sometimes that can be easy to do, right? Because you have so much going on around you and you can buffer your way around these emotions by not actually addressing them. And you might find yourself saying, well, I'll deal with it after the holidays, or like, right, we just want to put it on the shelf or we want to sweep it under the rug. And, the intent is, okay, I'll worry about this later, right? It's just down the road. But right now I have to focus on the holidays. I have to kind of like, I just need to get through this. I just need to keep going. And I would offer that for most of us that do that, and I think we've all done that at some point with some kind of grief or loss or negative emotion around the holidays, I doubt very many of us get into January and go, okay, let's deal with that now, right? You've already swept it under the rug. You've already put it on the shelf. It's very unlikely, unless there's something that brings it back up or almost forces it to come to our attention. Otherwise, I don't think that we voluntarily go, okay, I'm ready to deal with that now. And so what happens with all of that, right? It doesn't go away, right? If you swept it under the rug or put it on the shelf, it's not like it just disappears. And this is one of those things where an emotion can get stuck in your body and you can have some of those physical um physical, I can't think of the word. Anyway, it appears in your life in a physical way in your body, right? And so it doesn't just go away. It requires us to work on it. And so going into the holidays, I want to bring this up because there's some gentle ways that we can provide some self-care and compassion that isn't just sweeping it under the rug, but it also isn't canceling Christmas and, crawling under our blanket and crying for the next 5 days. There has to be a balance. And here's the thing. The permission is there has to be a balance that works for you. Because the reality is, we don't want to cancel Christmas. There's a part of us that does want to have joy and enjoy the holidays and be present, right? We want that. We're just missing someone. We want it with that person, or we want it to be different than what it is. And some of those thoughts can be challenging, right? Because they're real, that's true. And also, they're not serving us. They're making us feel worse because the reality is different than what we desire. So how do we manage that? How do we work through that? And the first thing I want to say is there's no right way and there's no wrong way to grieve. It's unique to each one of us. So when someone around us thinks we should be doing it a different way or thinks we should be further along than we are, or just has thoughts in general about our grieving, my favorite thing to say is other people's thoughts and opinions are none of our business. So that's theirs, and that's for them to keep. It's none of our business. And when we disconnect from that expectation, we can own that our journey is unique to us and it's okay. And their thoughts about it are for them. And you might have where they're sharing that with you. They're sharing their expectations. They're telling you their opinions, their judgments, and that might not feel helpful. And there's always permission for you to say, this is my experience. This is my journey. Thank you for your thoughts or opinions, but this is my journey. This is the way I need to do it, right? Just let them know that you appreciate maybe their comments, but also like this is unique for you. And know that that's okay. It's okay for you to do it your way. It's okay for you to do it differently than someone expects or differently than someone else did it because it's unique for all of us. And the way you've grieved up until now and the way you grieve after this could be different, right? Not every year is different. Not every holiday is different. That's why the first year will be totally different than every other year. And it could be several years, and all of a sudden something comes rushing back for lots of different reasons, right? How much of this have we actually worked through in the past that we dealt with, and how much did we sweep under the rug that's coming back up again, that's bubbling back up again? So every year is different, and everybody's journey is different, and that's totally fine. So just give yourself permission to have your own experience and have it be unique to you and aligned with what you need through this journey. And I want to make sure we understand that the grief process is internal. And that's what makes it unique for us, right? It's our experience. It's what we need. It's what we're going through. It's our journey. And where those other loved ones' opinions or thoughts or judgments come from, or society or coworkers or whatever it is outside of us, right? That's all the external pressures, judgment, opinions, timelines, right? That's all external. The comparisons, right? I should be doing it differently. I should be doing it better. I should be doing it faster. Those are all the external judgments. But grief is an internal process unique to each of us. And when we measure it against those external judgments, it creates conflict, right? It creates this perception that we should be doing it differently, that we're not doing it right. But there is no right way. There's only your way, your unique journey that is aligned for you, and that's okay. There's no right way. There's no wrong way. There's no comparison. There's no judgment. And I think sometimes this can come from the people that express that to us. It can come from what we perceive as expectations from society, social media, all of those types of things. But it can also come from our perception of what our loved one would expect from us. And my favorite thing to take from my coaches is thoughts to think, new thoughts to think, thoughts to borrow. Because sometimes, especially in scenarios like this, it can be hard for us to come up with new thoughts. We're either just so used to thinking the same thoughts, or they're thoughts that we have, learned or accumulated through our upbringing, through our childhood, through just our life experience. And we just don't know how to come up with some different thoughts. So I want to offer this. If it helps, and if it doesn't, use it if it does, and let it go if it doesn't. There's no right or wrong here. But one comforting thought for me when it comes to my loved one's expectations of me through a grieving process, whatever you believe in, heaven, the afterlife, whatever you imagine that to be, for me, that's a place completely opposite of earth. And so here we feel the good, we feel the bad, and we only know what good is because we know what bad is. We only know what positive emotions are because we know what negative are. The contrast is how we know. And no life on this earth is 100% good or positive with no negative emotion. And we don't want that, right? We want to be sad when we lose a loved one. We want to be sad when somebody gets hurt. We want to feel those emotions. That's the human experience. But what I like to think of is in the afterlife or in heaven, there is no contrast. It's all good. It's all joy. It's just all one, which means they don't have the contrast, which means they don't have judgment. They don't have negative thoughts about what we're doing, right? They're just having constant love and compassion for us, for whatever our experience is and our continued journey on this earth. So they're not judging. They're not thinking we're doing it wrong. They're not wishing that we would do it differently. They're not sad that we're sad. They're not. They're just neutral. And there's, a lot of different ways to look at that. And there's a lot of different things out there about what the afterlife is like, right? So but we don't really know. I mean, some of us think we know based on maybe research or what we've done or what we believe in, but we get to decide all of that for ourselves. And so I like to think that my loved one is not judging me, is not thinking I'm doing it wrong, is not wishing I was doing it differently because they're just neutral. They're 100% positive or neutral all the time. They don't have thoughts like that. They don't have emotions like that. They just have all the good. So there is none of that. And that's comforting for me. That if the most important person to me and how I'm doing this should be me, but if not me, then the loved one that I lost, and their opinion matters the most, and their opinion is neutral or positive no matter what my journey is, that is comforting to me. They're not judging me. They're not thinking I'm doing it wrong. I love that for myself. That's very comforting and reassuring. So if that aligns for you and that feels good to you, feel free to use it, adopt it, borrow that thought. It's very comforting. All right. So when we imagine the holidays and it's perceived as, it's painted as the joy, togetherness, celebration, right? All of the good things. But when we're grieving, that's not what we're feeling, right? We're feeling the pressure, we're feeling the sadness, we're feeling the pain, we're missing our loved one. We want something different than our reality. And that contrast, that difference of what we're feeling, and yet everything around us, the way it's painted, the way it's portrayed, right? The expectations. When that becomes our experience, that's when we really recognize that difference, right? The difference between what we're feeling, our true, honest feelings, and what's expected, what's perceived, what's being painted as the picture of the holidays. It can intensify that emotion, right? It can intensify that pain. And all of a sudden, we have like this pressure of these expectations. And maybe that's part of like our stress and anxiety around the holidays, is that this pressure of expectations is ramping up as we know all of these things are going to be happening, the holiday parties and creating the family experience, and like all of the pressure and expectations, right? And all of that, we know it's coming, right? We've experienced the holidays many times. We kind of have our routines, we have our family traditions, all of that. So we know what's all coming. And yet we're feeling the way we're feeling inside. And so what do we do with all of that, right? Like we're hurting and we're crumbling inside. Our heart is broken and we are sad. And yet there's all of this pressure and expectation around us. So what do we do with all of that? I want you to really think about this. What do you do with that at this time of the year, right? Because what grief does is grief is calling you to turn inward, right? It's needing your attention. It's calling for you to slow down and reflect and have compassion. But if that's uncomfortable or we don't know how to do it, then we have the holidays pulling us outward, right? It's pulling us to gather and celebrate and be happy and prepare and perform and smile and enjoy it, right? And so you have this inward calling of what you're going through internally, and then you have again all of these expectations or all of these pulls outward. And again, it creates this conflict because our experience is unique to us. They don't understand it. They don't know what we're going through. And even if they've lost a loved one, whoever they are, family, friends, coworkers, right? Whoever it is, our journey is unique to us. So what we're going through is ours. It's unique. It's it's ours. We get to own it. And we don't have to do it their way. We don't have to do it the right way, the wrong way, right? It's our experience. And so that draw inward is in complete conflict with this pull outward to do all of these things and smile and have fun and enjoy and gather and celebrate. And what do we do with that? How do you handle that? What is your go-to at this time of the year, right? And we can have that increased feeling of they don't understand, that their expectations are this, right? It increases all of that. Either it heightens that feeling, like it feels more intense, or it's just more obvious because we've got more of the gatherings, or maybe they're more vocal about it, or whatever it is that creates more of that like right in our face experience with this direct conflict, right? So I want you to tell yourself that it's not for them to understand. We're not doing this journey for them, whoever them are, right? Family, friends, coworkers. We're not trying to do this the right way. We need to do it our way. And even if our way impacts our immediate family, right? Loved ones that interact with us every day, to show them that grief should be unique and should be ours is the greatest gift you can give to anyone around you. It gives them permission to grieve in their way, not the way that, their, teachers think, or their coworkers think, or their boss thinks, or their mom thinks, or their family thinks, or their sibling thinks, or their friends think, right? It gives all of us permission to do it our way. And to own that and be okay with that, to have confidence in that this is my journey and that's okay. Because when we do that, we give everyone around us permission to do that exact same thing. They get to experience it their way. It's permission for them as well. That's huge because they all watch us, right? The ones younger, the ones older, right? And even someone that maybe has been grieving a certain way, it's like, oh, you mean I can do it differently? I can do it my way. It's okay. Whatever that feels like for me, whatever that is for you, it's okay. This is your permission card to do it your way. So what do you usually do when all of this happens? The conflict is intensified. It's in your face every day, right? You have all of this contrast and conflict between how you're feeling and everything that's going around you for the holidays. Are you talking to anyone? Are you like just kind of like hiding inside of yourself, basically kind of avoiding and suppressing it all? Are you prioritizing self-care? Or are you buffering over the emotion with food and alcohol? Right? It's so easy to do because it's plentiful this time of year, right? You're sad at work and there's another platter of holiday treats. And there's another holiday party where there's more alcohol. So it's really easy to bury it all, to smother it all, to push it down, suppress it, avoid it, right? It's so easy this time of year. There's tons of opportunities to do that. So really ask yourself, what are you doing? How are you handling all of this time of year? And are you telling yourself you'll deal with it after the holidays, right? That you just got to get through, you just got to push through, that it'll be over soon and then you can deal with it and then it'll still be there, right? And like I said in the beginning, the chances that we pull this back off the shelf or pull it back out under the rug are pretty slim unless something brings it back to our attention. If you push through it now, you're probably going to just keep pushing and pushing. So here's my permission to you to just slow down and allow the process. And I discovered this 4-step framework that I'm going to give you today. And this is it's just an acronym and 4 simple steps. And it's just a way to really just pause and take a look at what your experience is like. And it's, right, it's permission and invitation to do it differently, maybe than you ever have before. And I highly encourage you to, I have this in the 4-step framework. I did put it into a printable PDF. So if you'd like that, just comment below and I'll shoot it over to you in a direct message so that you have it. You can print it off. You can read through it in detail, and there's a spot to journal in each section. And there's some questions to answer in there as you go through, and really just slow down and reflect on what's going on and letting it be your unique experience. And here's the thing. This is what that yearning is. This is what that calling is, right? It's trying to pull you inward. And I think there's this stigma around, if I even, like, we almost like consider it Pandora's box. Like if I crack this open, it'll destroy everything. It'll ruin the holidays. It'll ruin everything. It'll just suck me into this abyss of grief where I just get swallowed up whole and I can't even function. And it's actually the opposite. It's not a place that you go to live. It's an experience of processing and teaching yourself how to listen to your emotions, listen to your body, tune into things, turn inward, reflect, allow, right? It's a process. It's not a place you go to live. And it's an exercise you can do with any emotion. And we talk about that a lot on here, right? Like feeling our emotions and what that's like, and a process for it so we don't feel like it's going to suck us in and we'll get stuck there. Or like it'll be so painful we won't know what to do with it. And really, what we're doing there is just layering on all of this more negative emotion and more negative emotion. And we've almost morphed it into this huge thing that it's not. And then the bigger we think it is, the harder we think it is, the more painful we think it will be, the more we avoid it, the more we suppress it, the more we buffer. And that is the experience that we think is experiencing the emotion. It's all these things around it, right? It's all the pressure, it's all the avoidance, it's all the things that we have to do to not feel the emotion. That stuff is way worse. When you actually just tune into the emotion and allow it, it's not anywhere near that painful. And you don't get stuck there. You don't get lost there. It's a place that you go to experience and process and move on. It's fluid. It's not a place you go to live or get stuck. And when I was doing research on the last several Tuesday talks, when I was doing research on emotions, and I was doing it on fear and just, I had picked out some specific emotions. And I found this 90-second rule. 90 seconds for an emotion to completely process through your body. 90 seconds. So when I tell you it's not a place that you go to live, that you stay or you get stuck, 90 seconds. If that's all it takes to process these emotions, and it might be that you process a little here and there, or that the emotions are multi-layered and multifaceted, or there's more there. And as you work through, it's like, oh, there's another one. But even if all of them individually are just 90 seconds each, you'll be rocking through this in no time. And for me, it's just comforting to know that, oh, I can do that for 90 seconds, right? It's not going to be an hour of crying. It's 90 seconds. And how do you know? Well, how you know is once you're going through the process and it processes through and moves on, you just naturally come out of it. Your thoughts naturally change, your body, your emotions just naturally change. It's complete. And you'll know because you'll feel it, right? These are things that you feel in your body. And it's pretty magical, right? Like to generate the emotion and feel the emotion and process through it, and then to have it be complete and have moved on. It's magical that that's what our body does. Because what we're doing instead is all of the things to avoid it, to suppress it, to push it away. That's what we're experiencing. The buffering, the eating and drinking instead, the keeping ourselves busy instead, like all the stuff we're doing to avoid the emotions, that stuff is way worse. And it's constant, right? It's constant energy exertion to avoid it, suppress it, right? It's constant because that emotion is there and it's trying to get your attention. And so if it's always there, then you're always having to do these things to avoid it or suppress it or like keep pushing it down, right? But if it only took 90 seconds to just clear it, imagine the energy that would open up for you. Imagine your experience and how much lighter and different you would feel if you did just allow it and feel it, right? It's all available to us. And if that sounds scary, I would start by grabbing this 4-step framework and just reading through and answering the questions and see how it works for you. You can always reach out with questions. You can always find someone to talk to, right? Somebody that can support you through this, that's not going to offer judgment or opinions or like recommendations or advice, right? A coach or somebody neutral that will just listen and help you through, maybe give you some different thoughts, maybe help you just talk through it all, right? That can be part of your self-care, part of your process, right? Okay, so here's the 4-step framework. Again, if you want this, just drop a comment below and I'll shoot it over to you. It's a 2-page front and back, prints out. I got it here. I mean, there's a few questions in each of the 4 steps and just things to reflect on and consider. And then I put in spaces for you to journal and some questions to really kind of let you, really think through and then write down. And I highly encourage you to do the exercise. Sometimes I like to do these things just in my head, and sometimes I like to actually write them down. Whatever works for you, but that way you would just have it. And it doesn't necessarily have to be for grief, right? It can be for any emotion or whatever you call it. Anything that's heavy or difficult or challenging for you to go through, you can pull this out and do these 4 steps, and it'll certainly help you through that. Okay, so the acronym for the 4-step process is GIFT, which is fitting for the holiday season. So GIFT, and the first one is G, grieve your loss. And this is what we're talking about, right? Just allowing the emotion, whatever this looks like for you, whether it is crying, whether it is not crying, whether it is withdrawing or spending time with yourself, if it's remembering and reminiscing and allowing yourself to remember and feel the way it did in those lovely memories that we have, wanting to be with somebody or wanting to be alone, just needing quiet time, just needing time alone where there's music playing, where we can just kind of just stillness, right? Whatever that looks like for you, to grieve the loss. And basically what this means is not avoiding it, right? Not suppressing it, not doing something else to not grieve. It's just to allow. It's just to lean in, open up, right? Turn inward, all of that. That's what the G is, to grieve your loss. The next one is I, invitation to choose what supports you. You, what you need, not what your family recommends, not what your boss expects from you, not what your family members or close immediate family thinks. You. It's an invitation for you to choose what supports you, what you need. Give yourself permission here to do it your way, not what you should be doing, what you need, what supports you. And one of the things in here, there's a few questions. But one of the things is, as you're kind of choosing what you need throughout this holiday season, is to, and I like to plan, so I think this is great, is to come up with like a gentle plan A and B. Like I'll go to the gathering, but at some point, I might leave if it doesn't feel like I can handle it anymore. Or if I go and it ends up being too much, like what do I get to come home to? Like what can I set up for myself that is self-care on the back side of it, right? Like maybe a little mini reward or a soft landing when I, have a challenging experience. So creating plans for yourself of how you'll, intend to navigate and what you might do instead. And so that you have a plan. You've decided ahead of time. And that's great because in the moment when you're feeling the emotion, you don't have access to that part of your brain. But if you've already made the decision, if you've already thought it through and made the plan, then you'll have that decided, right? You'll have that ready for you to just use in the moment when the emotions are high or the experience is challenging or whatever that is, right? So great. Okay. F, freedom to cancel. Cancel the holidays or cancel the party, cancel the family photo shoot. Basically, it's freedom to not do something that you think you should be doing. If you don't have the energy for it, or you just want to do it differently, you want to create different traditions, you want to create a different experience. This is the freedom to do that. This is the permission. It's okay to do it differently. And it doesn't mean that you'll never do it again, right? If you decide to not do something this year, maybe this year you just don't have the energy for it. So it doesn't mean we'll never do it again. It just means we're not doing it this year, right? And so because all of this experience is ever changing and we're evolving as we go through it, none of this is written in stone. None of this is canceling forever. None of this is, finite. We get to decide what what freedom to cancel do I need this year that may be different next year. And maybe it's based on what, you and your immediate family is feeling this year. So it's not just you, it's like what works for all of us. Like we're just not feeling it. That's not where we're at this year. And that's okay, right? All right. T, trust your choices, right? A lot of this is we're doing what works for us while we're having opinions, judgments, recommendations, right, from our loved ones who probably mean well, right? But we've got a lot of external pressure, a lot of external judgments, or just what we perceive as expectations of how we should be doing it the right way, this way, the timeline, all of that, right? So as you're going through this process, trust yourself, right? Turn inward and find out, what do you need? What is that for you? What feels aligned? What is your needs? What will support you? And trust that and tell yourself it's okay, even if they don't understand, even if they don't agree, because this is your journey. This is your experience. This is what's unique for you and maybe your closest loved ones, right? And so for us, this is what we need. This is what supports me, despite what they think and what they say. And trusting yourself and having your own back means that you're not judging yourself, that you're not doing what those others might be doing, layering on a should or an expectation or an opinion or a judgment, or beating ourselves up, right? Because when we're hearing that from all of these external sources, sometimes we start doing that to ourselves. And so in the trusting process, we want to love and honor what we need, what's unique for us, and trust that and have compassion for that, right? And when you do that, you build that self-confidence, you build that trust in yourself, and that strengthens your relationship with yourself. And that's an amazing thing to have as you're navigating this, because it will be ever changing. It will be different next year. It will be something different, whether it's grief or another negative emotion or whatever experience we have in our human life. You'll have these tools, you'll have this trust, you're building this confidence in yourself. So it's not fulfilling other people's expectations, it's fulfilling our needs, it's supporting ourselves. And it's trusting and honoring that for ourselves. So there's some questions here to answer and a place to journal on that one as well, and how you can have grace and compassion for yourself through this process and what that looks like for you, what that feels like for you, what thoughts come up, right? Especially if this is part of the practice that you're not good at. If you're usually a self-critic or you self-sabotage or you beat yourself up a lot, like this is an opportunity to practice this exercise of supporting yourself, trusting your decisions, trusting your choices, and honoring what you need, what is aligned for you. And that's an amazing feeling. When you have your own back and you have your own confidence, you just come at all decisions in life differently when you just feel good about that. And that doesn't mean you're going to make every right decision, right? It just means that you're going to have your own support as you maybe, have a setback, have a failure, and you learn from it and you support yourself and trust yourself and you keep moving forward, right? You keep progressing. You don't just like give up and consider the failure and just beat yourself up and self-criticize and self-sabotage, right? You're exercising this practice of trusting yourself, honoring yourself, and loving and having grace and compassion for yourself through all of this. Because this is your human experience and it is whatever you make of it. You get to decide, right? You get to decide all of it. And these are the tools that you get to use to do all of this process, right? So, what does it look like for you? How do you navigate the grief in the holidays? Because it is such a heightened experience. It is all intensified, right? There's just all of this stuff around, and then there's what we're going through inside. And that stark contrast is just, right? It's elevated, it's intensified, and it can be very challenging. It can be very isolating. It can be very lonely, right? There's just a lot that comes along with all of it. So ask yourself, how do I usually do this? And how do I want to do it? Do you want to grab my 4-step framework? It's not mine. I grabbed it from I just Googled it, some tools and techniques out there. Do you want to grab some tools and practice this? Do you want to grab this sheet and sit down and, spend some time just really reflecting, really connecting with yourself, really giving yourself the support and compassion that you need through the holidays? Or are you going to do it like you always have and just keep suppressing and keep avoiding, right? All right. Next week, it will be after Christmas. We'll be talking about New Year's stuff. And if you want to grab this framework, just drop your comment down below and I'll shoot it over to you. If you have any questions, if you're going through this, you want to talk about it, please reach out. I am always here. And until next week, have a very Merry Christmas and I will see you on New Year's Eve next week.